It's in the first book when Ron tries to turn Scabbers yellow, does it not work because he's not really a rat or because it wasn't a real spell? I suppose it's debatable, but I think it's just because it's not a real spello. Uh, spello? Be- I think it's not. I think it's because it's not a real spell. Ron says that Fred and George gave him the spell, and it wouldn't be weird of them to like prank him with a little rhyme to turn his rat yellow, in the hopes that Ron would try to show off with it, because that's just the kind of magic that would probably appeal to a first year, like a rat changing colors. I think it was a bit intended to be more humorous than for a seemingly irrelevant artifact that turns out to mean something sort of deal. Was Merope Gaunt really a squib, or does she have magical powers? She does have magical powers, as we see in Chapter 10 of Half-Blood Prince, where we see her doing a few small charms. Her father refers to her as a squib only because he thinks she's unworthy of proper recognition as a witch. He thinks she's worthless. So she, I think she has magical powers. I think. How does a Muggle-born know that they have magic if their Muggle parents don't know about the wizarding world? So typically, with children with magical powers, start to show minor signs by age 6 or 7. However, you can imagine what a parent would think, like if you're a Muggle, and what you would think if you saw your child doing magic before knowing that something like that existed. Like if you have no idea. But like they get their Hogwarts letters at around 11. So, like, one instance that I found where we kind of have insight into that is in chapter 33 of the Deathly Hollows, called The Prince's Tale, when Snape and Lily are pre Hogwarts age, and he tells her that she's a witch, and she's like totally horrified, like she had no idea, and she's just like, no, I'm not. But then Snape explains, like, she asked. He explains to her, and then she asks, will the Hogwarts letter really come by owl? And Snape says, normally, but you're Muggle born, so someone from the school will have to come and explain to your parents. So I suppose, like, sometime before they go to Hogwarts, like the summer before, probably, like, somebody from the school comes and explains everything along with the Hogwarts letter. Um, but, like, as we can see, like, people like Lily or like Muggle-born people, they can grasp their magical abilities when they're young. Like, she must have had something, like some idea that something was special about her. She just didn't really know what it meant. So, yeah. So why did Dumbledore want to be killed by Snape? That's a really good question. So Dumbledore was seduced by the Resurrection Stone. So what the Resurrection Stone is one of the hollows, and that's supposed to bring somebody who died back into the living world, but in a non-human form, which you don't know until after you try it. So when Dumbledore finally had it in his possession, he decided to use it to try to see his sister again. But Dumbledore was not aware that that Voldemort had turned the stone into a Horcrux, and when Dumbledore put the ring on, the curse inside the Horcrux infected his hand, and Snape tried to stop it, but like he couldn't, and told Dumbledore, like, okay, it's only, like, I can keep it contained in your hand, but it's only a matter of time before it spreads to your body. And so Dumbledore knew that Voldemort ordered Draco to kill him, um, and Dumbledore didn't want Draco to do it because his soul wasn't damaged, and like he didn't want him to have to bear that burden, so he asked Snape to do it. Um yeah, and so you could sort of say, like, it's both, like, protecting Draco, like having Snape take the burden instead of Draco, and then um also sort of putting him out of his misery. Like, he was dying by infection, and he'd lived a very long life and kind of done all he really needed to do, and so that's probably something to do with it. Sorry, I had to go eat lunch and then go to class and then go to the gym and then go eat dinner. And so I'm finishing this now. But the next question is, where is the Hufflepuff common room at? In the books, we learn the location of the other three, but not Hufflepuff. So Upon initial glance at this question, I had no recollection of learning the location of the Hufflepuff common room, but like I did some research, and even though it's not like clearly stated, we kind of have a little bit of insight. So it's like really subtle, but in the Goblet of Fire, chapter 17, the four champions, after the champions have been selected and they leave the room with the headmasters discussing Harry's unexpected commitment, Harry and Cedric head off to their dorms. And so if you can picture the staircase, Harry normally goes up to get to his common room in the Great Hall. Harry sees Cedric go into a door to the right of the staircase, which has stone steps leading downward beyond it. Furthermore, the Leaky Cauldron conducted an interview with J.K. Rowling sometime a long time ago, and she said that it's accessed through a painting in the kitchens, although it is although it's a dungeon level, it's as dissimilar as possible from the Slytherin dungeons. So, like, yeah, that's kind of just that door. It goes down, and I guess you go in through the kitchens. So that's where it is. What is a poltergeist? So poltergeists are kind of similar to ghosts. They have like ghost-like qualities, but it's never lived or died. It simply exists. So Peeves is a poltergeist, although he's excluded from the movies, which is really sad. I hadn't thought about that from before, but then I just realized, like, when I was reading the books, I was like, oh, Peeves, there's no Peeves in the movies. It's really depressing. In Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, what does MOM classification stand for? Ministry of Magic classification. The MOM classification is more or less a rank that shows how dangerous a creature is, according to the Minister of Magic. So, Ministry of Magic. Yeah. If the spell to unlock a door is Alohomora, what is the spell to lock a door? I had to dig for this one, but she says it in an interview, J.K. Rowling does. It's Colloportus. So Colloportus can lock things, but Alohomora can lock anything that's been locked with that spell, so it's not, like, that useful. Like, if you're gonna lock something that you don't want people to find, like, find a different way. What does Harry grow up to be? Because he can't be an Auror without being trained through Newt level, right? So J.K. Rowling actually said this in an interview. Harry did become an Auror. Kingsley Shacklebolt becomes a Minister of Magic and lets everybody who fought in the final battle who wants to become an Auror, like, he lets them all become Aurors without taking their Newts, because he's like, y'all killed Voldemort, like, good job. So that was the last one. This video is probably going to have to be 2 parts, but Harry Potter is something that I really love talking about. It really changed my life. It's been there with me since I was 6 years old. It was the first full book that I read by myself, like chapter book, that wasn't read to me at all. I love all the characters. I especially love Ron and Snape and Fred and George, but I don't know, I love all of them. I was so emotionally moved by it coming to an end, the movies coming to an end. I cried a lot. It was a really bittersweet thing for me. It was something to look forward to every single year. And, you know, it's sad that it's done, but I think it will always live on. We're the Harry Potter generation, so. In my next video, I'm just going to have, like, a bunch of things about my college life, people in my dorm doing really silly things, and then another WSM. So I hope you had a really good day, Kimberly, and I will see you tomorrow. Yeah.